welcome to the Canadian Women in Ocean Industries Leadership Conference, the Diversity in the Blue Economy podcast with Gale Force Wins. And I have the lovely Allan here, who of course has been helping me out with learning about podcasts, and you have taught me an immense amount of knowledge. You're such an optimist, and it's been wonderful. So I have asked you to speak with me today about your experience with the Navy. So how long were you there?
I still am in the Navy, so I'm still a reservist with the Navy, but I joined the Navy in 1984, so I've been there for a while, and it's been a great journey, and the Navy has changed a lot in my time, but yet it's stayed the same as well.
Yeah, so how, you've seen obviously how the Navy has changed over time. What is one of the positive changes that you have seen within your role?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. And it kind of relates to where we're sitting here today, and that's about women in the ocean industry, and indeed, more broadly, underrepresented groups of people that wouldn't necessarily find themselves in those settings. I think that the Navy has become, over the decades, a much more inclusive place. A place where everybody has a home, and it is everybody's Navy, and it is truly representative of Canada as a whole.
Yes, and so what was your position in the Navy?
Yeah, so I started off as what they called a Mars officer. That sounds kind of funny, but the acronym stood for Maritime Surface or Subsurface Officer. It's since changed to what they call now a Naval Warfare Officer. So basically, it's the people that drive the ships, and they operate the operations room and all the electronic systems on board the ship.
Yeah, so why the Navy? Why did you choose this role to be your career path? Good
question. Great question. It was 100% the cadet program in Canada. So I joined the cadet program, Sea Cadets, interesting. Yeah. I joined Sea Cadets here in St. John's, Newfoundland when I was 13 years old, and it became a very big part of my life, and the Navy was just a natural path from there.
Yeah, awesome. So now that you are here with the podcast and everything else, what are some things that you are hopeful for the future of not only the Navy but for yourself personally?
Yeah, so the Navy's on a great path.
Yep.
So the Navy's got new ships coming, all kinds of great opportunities for the Navy, a very well-led organization with great people coming in all the time. And again, I speak to the inclusion and diversity in the Navy, open to everybody, and it's a place for everybody in there, so that makes the future bright. And for me personally, I still do some work in consulting, I still do work with the Navy, and I'm also on this podcast, and I'm so proud of being able to amplify people's voices through this podcast, so that's what's on the horizon for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just as you're here with the Canadian Women in Industries Leadership, what is something that you have really enjoyed about this conference, besides me, of course?
Yeah, for me, it's about learning, right? This conference is an opportunity for me to grow, to evolve, to become better, to become a better ally, right, in this space.
Yeah.
And I've done that here, I think.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to kind of digest and a lot to kind of fully kind of process over time. But I feel that being in the conversation is the most important part, and helping get the conversation amplified through a podcast. And I'll tell you this, watching you in the last 2 days just light up this conversation in a different way than maybe Gerry or I could have, has been very inspiring. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate this opportunity and the amount you have taught me, and as well your patience and kindness during this whole process. And just, you're such an inspiration. You have done so much, and you continue to learn, which I think is so inspiring to many young individuals, because a lot of us, I find, can have moments of where, when you're choosing your career and you're at that point of trying to figure out where you're going with the rest of your life, you think there's only one opportunity for you, when there's really multiple, and you've really shown that to me, and I am truly grateful for that.
Well, that's very kind of you to say that. The future is incredibly bright for you and your cohort, right? Because you've got this great opportunity in front of you. You come from a wonderful part of the world in a country that's so well respected around the globe. I mean, there is a recipe for success here. So take big bites out of life and try it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Allan. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being such a wonderful ally to our group here.
Means a lot. Thank you.